This is a Glassbox Media Podcast.
Vive la acción, el drama, el as featured meal. Escoge entre un QPC, Big Mac o McNuggets de 10 piezas para acompañar unas papitas medianas, sweet and sour sauce y una bebida. En carteleras ahora. Para pa pa pa. En McDonald's participantes por tiempo limitado.
Welcome to My Worst Date. I'm Cassie.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Christina.
I paused, like I forgot what I was going to say.
I know.
You're like, are you going to finish that?
Look, because I feel like you've called me out before for like looking at you. Like I'm worried because I am always like I have this like start of show anxiety kind of, and so I'm like, okay, I'm not going to look at her. So I don't want her to feel like I'm judging her right now.
The way that you were like, what is happening when Christina opened the other day? She's like, no, absolutely not.
Look,
we've learned our lesson.
I need my life to be ordered in a very specific kind of way, and it threw me off completely.
I like to live on the edge. I like to take risks and chances. I'm just kidding. My anxiety is way too peak for that. Speaking of anxiety, I have to tell you guys, because I think we all here have struggled.
Yeah.
With anxiety.
Yeah.
I want to know if this is your anxiety brain. Is your anxiety brain the brain that allows you to wake up in the middle of the night to take your dog out to go to the bathroom? And then when you walk back into your bedroom, you're like, if we were drowning and I could only save one of my pets, which pet would I save? Do you have that brain? Because that's what my brain did last night. I told Chris that and he was like, what is wrong with you?
No,
I was like, I don't know.
I've legitimately...
my brain is like, hey, in this non-thing that will never happen ever at 2 a.m. in the morning.
No, I mean, I told you the other day about when I was interviewing for a job, for whatever reason, like my brain started thinking like, what if they asked me to sing something? And so then I literally was going through like, oh, which song would I sing if I had to sing in this job interview?
That will never fucking happen.
I have to say, I feel like, Cassie, your scenario is more likely than Christina's scenario. Because like,
I literally was like, do I break out like David Bowie?
Yeah,
or
like something
like,
I know really well that's in my range. But no, because like, maybe not drowning, but like a natural disaster could happen. I've had this conversation before actually, because it's like, if the building is on fire, like what is our plan? Because I'm not leaving here without my cats.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, what do we do?
Yeah.
Like, because we got to make sure we can find them, and cats are sneaky too, and they like to hide and shit,
and they're good at getting out of things. That was when I was younger. I remember, because we've always had pets. I remember my parents walking through the plan of like, you do not have to save pets. Pets have their own sneaky ways of getting out of stuff. And I'm certain they did that. I'm certain they did that so that I wouldn't panic in case anything happened. Thank God nothing happened. But the number of times that you like. There's Sophie's Choice has ruined an entire generation of people. Yeah. I've never even watched that movie, but the idea of having to choose which pet you save, and then the gymnastics that my brain went through, like, well, I should save the cat because like the likelihood of my cat's not going to be able to swim, right? I'm like going through the like, well, Rose could probably figure out how to swim, right?
She really hates water though.
She hates water.
Yeah.
The way that I'm literally like trying to like map out a justification of which pet I would say, which is like, what is going on?
I feel like Chuck has more of that instinct to survive. Like Chuck is tougher. Like Chuck, I think, would save himself. Whereas, like, I could see, like,
Chuck might save all of us.
Rose is gonna have one of those like fainting goat situations where like she gets so overwhelmed that she's just like, you know what I mean?
Oh, no, I can't.
But no, the brain does really weird shit. I was actually thinking about that because I'm growing my bangs out. I decided I wanted to grow my bangs out, and so they're like really long right now, and I did them, and then I had like one straight hair. You know how like that happens? And so I like got out my scissors and I just cut that one little hair. I do it all the time. But I did that. And then my brain, I have the worst intrusive thoughts. Oh. Like my brain is just like, what if you just stabbed yourself in the eye right now?
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
No, wait. Oh my God. What if I fell as I was holding this and then like stab my eye out.
Yeah, I'm just like always. And my brain is like, I'm always just like, anytime I pick up a knife of any kind or like scissors or anything, or anytime I'm walking over an overpass, I'm always just like, what if you just threw yourself over?
Well, that's
the bridge fell.
Call of the void is what that is. That's, I forget. I think that's the phrase of it, the call of the void. It's that feeling you get whenever you're up someplace really high.
You're like, I might
and
as well.
And you think, what if I just jumped? You know, it's the call of the void.
There's a French word for it, I think, as well. Yeah, because I think that sometimes when I'm like driving on like a hilly like mountain or something, I'm just like, what if instead of turning into the turn, I just turn the other way? Like, you know what I mean? And I'm not gonna do it, but it's just like my brain has these intrusive thoughts, and I'm just like, what the fuck is that about? Like, I'll be like chopping vegetables, and it's like, what if you chopped your finger off?
Yes.
What?
Yes. Okay. Listen, the way I'm so glad that because Chris had me like real worried about myself for a minute.
I mean, he's like,
why would you think that? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, tell me you have anxiety without telling me you have anxiety. It's like just
a really good episode. It's an old one. It's from like their first season, so like years and years ago, of Invisibilia, which is a great podcast.
Yeah.
I haven't listened in a long time, but it's really good. And there's one of their very first episodes is talking about someone whose violent, intrusive thoughts became so overwhelming, and it wasn't just like towards themselves, but it was also towards others. So he was like, I have to seek help for this because, you know, it was freaking him out, and it was obviously like freaking his partner out too.
Yeah.
Like he just kept having these really violent, intrusive thoughts. And what they determined was actually that like you are the least likely to be like violent because you are so anxious. Like your brain is doing this because you don't want to hurt anybody.
It's playing worst case scenario for you.
Yeah,
right.
You don't want to hurt anyone. So you're like obsessing about that idea of like that you could hurt somebody.
Wow.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry.
Well, yeah, no.
Way to bring it down early, but I was just
Interesting
like,
conversation.
It's just weird, like, right?
No, I mean, I tell Eric about all my weird intrusive thoughts. They're just pepper the conversation. Just, you know, I just like to throw a little seasoning in there.
Yeah.
Keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
What if I had to sing at my job?
I mean, honestly, what
I remember
would be
that.
our job interview song? I mean, what would I choose?
Why would that ever come
It
up?
would never.
In the history of ever.
Unless
I
you're-
remember why you thought that though, because this was like your first job interview after you were leaving the food industry, service industry, and you were like, and you had, I think, on your resume or in your LinkedIn that you were in the band at the time,
Right?
And I think that you were like, well, what if they asked me about all my other past jobs and the things I do? And I know that. I know where the train went.
It's literally so ridiculous, though.
I know the train. I just don't.
The way if somebody, God, what would you do? Like you just like the people pleaser in me is probably just like,
hello, my baby. Hello, my son. No, and I'm like, why'd I do that?
Dude, but in the shower, sometimes the conversations that I have, I think that's my biggest manifestation of anxiety is my practice conversations in the shower. I practice conversations for situations that never arise, never ever. I never will.
But you know what's worse is practicing conversations that have already happened.
Yeah.
That's so much worse because
Yeah.
it's like you can't, there is no fantasy in which you get a do-over.
The
you
way,
know, like
the way sometimes I read Reddit posts just that way, where I'm like, you did not say that to her. You went home.
Yes.
You thought about it.
100.
Yes.
Then you type this
Then
up.
you type this up. That's not how that happened.
Exactly.
I read something like that to Chris this morning. I'm like, this is not how that happened. This happened.
This is what you wish happened.
But this is what you wish you did.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen that way.
There's probably some like awesome French word for that too. I like that feeling you get of like, you know, imagining a conversation going differently because it's a universal human experience.
My practice conversations, not only do they always go perfectly,
Of course.
but I'm leaving people gagged. I'm leaving people just like,
Yes.
I can see their face and how stunned they are. I'm always impressive. I'm always intelligent.
Yes, of course.
Poised, graceful, beautiful, the whole thing.
The way I'm so articulate, actually, whenever I am practicing, like where I'm like, I am so smart, and then you get around that person like in real life, and you're like,
Ham.
Yeah. Exactly. No, but I do a similar thing because especially if I know something is coming up, the way I will try and control a situation where I'm like, I know I have this thing coming up, so I'm going to wear this outfit. I've got like a mood board. Yep. I'm like, this outfit, hair is doing this, makeup is doing this, and this is how I'm going to behave when I first see the person. You know, like all of that stuff.
And I'll tell you, the other person always fucks it up.
They do.
Always. They always fuck it up.
The script. I'm delusional. I need you to play with me.
Yeah. I'm sorry. You're offended already just by the way I'm looking at you right now, right? Why are you not on board with us?
You forgot your lines.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That wasn't the line.
No. Here. What?
Did you not get your pages this morning?
Oh, no. Was there a rewrite? Shit.
I'm going to have to fire that PA.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. Oh, my gosh. Wow.
Who doesn't love anxiety?
Yeah, seriously.
I feel like my anxiety has gotten a little bit better, actually. I don't know if it's
in your old age.
In my old, not even just like I like, look, I'm not being one of those people that's like, these things will cure your anxiety and depression. Just go for a walk, right? Like, 'cause that's bullshit. But I do think like I have been doing a daily meditation practice.
Oh yeah,
and I actually think it's helping.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. No, it's supposed to.
I was gonna say that is actually something. Meditation.
Yes. It's scientifically proven to help that. It does help. But.
Mine is getting better. I think with my old age, I am getting to a point where I give less and less of a fuck.
Yeah, you just care less. Yeah,
I really am close to being like into negative fuck territory, which
we've
I'm
discussed is not healthy for you, Christina. We're gonna have to stop you before you get into negative fucks because we talked about this before, and you were straight up just like, I'll shit on someone, and we're like,
no, that's too far.
It's too far.
Negative. We got to bring you back.
We got to keep you at a 0 is fine.
I'm a little bit above 0 now. I would put myself as like I give like 1.8 fucks right now,
like a fuck and a half.
Here's the thing: giving no fucks was a fuck and a half. Giving no fucks was very trendy for a long time.
Yeah.
But I will say this, actually. I think that there's a healthy amount of fucks to give, right? Like, because you do want to still care about your fellow human beings on this planet. So maybe just like a couple of fucks.
Yeah.
You know, just a few.
It is a constant battle.
Yeah.
Right? There's a constant battle between the self-preservation of no fucks, right? Which is like your own self-worth.
Yeah. And
the fucks
protection too, especially if you're putting yourself out there in any creative endeavor.
Oh,
you know,
my whole life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're vulnerable, and it is helpful if you really get to a place where you give no fucks. Then like those barbs and trolls and just all of that shit can't hurt you. But
I do think though, funny you should say that, because I do think that like when you hear about like the tortured artist, right? Any artist, you hear a lot of that, like tortured artists, like that they go through so much, but it is such a personal thing doing art, right? Like when you put yourself out there on paper, on canvas, on mic, on film, whatever it is.
Yeah, when you're singing in a job interview.
You're singing in a job interview, you never know. Like it's just such a personal, it's a part of your soul that you put out to be judged. And you know that it's going to be judged. So there's this like immediate anxiety of even doing it in the first place.
Yeah.
The fact that somebody can be an artist, I think just gives, I think is an applaud in and of itself, because it's difficult.
I think with art as well, though, like I think that there is a healthy amount. There's a healthy fuck balance, right? Because it's like if you give no fucks, you run the risk of never getting better because you can't take in any like constructive criticism, right? Like, or maybe just like actually people who want to mentor you or help you get better at something, because you're like, fuck you, I know what I'm doing, whatever, you know what I mean? And like, I feel like that can actually stifle creativity in a way. Like you can like get to a point where you don't grow anymore. But if you give too many fucks, then you're no longer making art that's authentic to yourself.
You're
so
paralyzed.
I would run, just like a couple, not very many. No. But just like maybe a couple.
In your fuck balance, I think you should always at least have a fuck and a half.
Yeah.
It's available.
And just
is that a tablespoon? What is this measured? What is this in metric? How many milliliters?
I think if like if it's in a cup, you're talking about a half cup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Half cup of fucks?
Half cup of fucks.
Okay. Yeah. Because I also feel like it's a real skill to know who to take constructive criticism from.
Oh yeah, all fucks are not created equal.
No,
right?
Yeah, you don't want to pick your fucks up at Aldi's or whatever. You do want name brand
quality.
fucks.
You need a quality fuck.
You need
we're like Nordstrom fucks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like
there's still a variety.
Yeah,
but
like a Saks.
Yeah.
Saks on Fifth fuck.
Rather than like a Sears.
Yes.
Yeah.
A JCPenney fucking.
We could fuck, marry, kill department stores because
Jesus.
because they give real vibes. Like a Sears,
When was the last time you've been to a department store though? I have not been into a department store since I was probably in my 20s.
I went to the mall not that long ago, maybe like 2 weeks ago, because I had to go pick up.
I've been in a Macy's recently.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I went to Beverly Center to pick up some stuff, and I was in the Macy's over there. But yeah, like an actual mall has been a while, and I haven't seen a Sears in God knows
There
how long.
is
I literally couldn't tell you when.
I remember the last time I went to Sears. Because there is still a Sears. I actually don't know because it always looks abandoned, which is shady. But there is one in North Hollywood that is, it still says Sears on the outside. Or the last time I was over there.
Does this just sell like fucking washers?
I don't know.
Tires?
I don't know. I went in there when I lived in North Hollywood when I was in my early 20s, and it was still a Sears.
Oh,
But it
interesting.
looked shady then, and it's continued to look very shady. And I'm like, is this a front? Like, why is this business still open?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? But a Sears, I remember when I was a kid, was on par with like some of the
Macy's or
or Dillard's or whatever.
Oh my God, Dillard's.
Yeah.
We never had a Dillard's where I was.
I only know about Dillard's because I used to spend my
South.
summers in Kentucky.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, they had Dillard's in
Yeah,
Kentucky.
and I feel like, I don't know, the 90s was a real department store heavy era.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if malls just got too
Well, especially
niche.
with COVID. Like, I feel like after, like, there was a downward
Amazon.
Yeah.
Why would I put on pants
Thank
to just
you.
have a fucking drone bring it to me the next day?
Well, also, when I was in Macy's, I was like, has Macy's always been that expensive?
Yeah.
Macy's is so expensive.
It
like
is,
I was
yeah.
like, because I was like, oh, I'll look around Macy's. Like there's some cute stuff over here. I started looking around and I was like, fuck this. I'm gonna go to H&M. Like I am not trying to do this. It's so expensive.
It's so hard because I really am like super anti fast fashion. I
Yeah.
am, but I'm also poor.
yeah.
Yeah.
Makes
I've been
it
watching
difficult.
a TikTok with someone that says pavos. Have you heard that?
No.
It's like, you're a pavo.
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh,
oh,
yes,
I
I've
hate
seen
that.
guy. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love him.
Because you're a pavo.
Yeah.
But I was when I went to Beverly Center, I went into Lucky Brand. So I was like, oh, I like their jeans.
Nostalgia.
I want
Nostalgia for real.
I
yeah.
want to try on their jeans or what have you.
Jesus.
$500 some dollars.
No,
For
ma'am.
Lucky? Say
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. I was shocked.
Ma'am. I
You were
know.
like,
put
I
it
was
back.
like, wait,
Put it back on the
I thought I was like, I'm not in fucking Nordstrom. I'm not
Yeah.
in like All Saints or whatever.
Yeah.
I was not prepared for a $500 pair of
No.
pants.
No,
Not for Lucky.
That's the problem, and that's the thing that people run up against is that like quality clothes are expensive.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have the means to really be able to buy really good quality clothes unless they're really good at coming up with that capsule wardrobe, or if that's something that they even want, where they are like, I only have 3 pairs of pants and this is what it is. And they're very like, but you rent clothes every month though. You know what I mean? And a lot of people can't afford to do that either.
yeah, but would I pay a month in rental? I would 6 months before I'd buy those pair of pants. I mean, that's insane.
Right.
Yeah,
But
and
like,
the quality is so much better.
I'm always the person that thinks like, well, in any day now I'm going to be like so much skinnier. So then I
Yeah.
don't want to spend money on these clothes because then
That's
they're
right.
not going to fit. But
Yeah.
it's a fucking
really
cycle.
tough. Yeah.
I'm like, I've been saying this shit for a couple of years now. So what the hell?
it's tough. I mean, there are certain brands I simply will not buy because I find them to be like unethical companies just in general. But like, yeah, it's hard because like I have to decide. Like I have a Rent the Runway subscription, but I have to decide which months to use it and which months not to, because for me it's like I'm not going to spend $100 something a month on clothes. So spending $100 and something a month on rentals doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Right. But if you buy one piece for $500,
But I'm not gonna
every
buy a
4
piece
months
for
Yeah.
$500.
No, I'm saying that
Yeah.
that's the way I look at it, because if I'm going to buy the quality in which I'm renting, and everybody, you're going to justify whatever makes sense for you and your budget, of course. Like I'm not here selling them.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, but I think that a lot of things for me, like, because I work, because I'm having to be on camera for work a lot too, like, for me, I'm like, the stuff that I would want to buy is going to be more expensive. So
Right.
for me, I probably would, like, maybe every quarter spend maybe $500 on nice pieces. And at
that's
that rate, then I might as well just go ahead and rent.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it depends.
My thing is that I guess I really withhold judgment in general. I mean, there's irresponsible living in every way, right? Like,
Of course.
There's irresponsible consumerism in every way. And so I withhold a lot of judgment from people
it's
who
really difficult to be
Oh, yeah.
ethical in
Yeah.
capitalism.
Absolutely.
there is no ethical consumption under
Yes.
capitalism,
There
right?
really
So it's like
isn't.
you pick your thing and you're like,
Yes.
this
Yeah.
is my thing.
We're all doing the best we can with
Yeah.
the information and tools that we have in front
at
of
the
us.
end of the world. Yeah, we're doing the best we
I
can.
don't want to fuck, marry, kill a department store.
Okay. What if we didn't do department stores, but since we've all been to a mall recently, what about like stores in the mall that were really formative for you growing up? Or maybe they don't even have to be there, exist anymore.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of the stores. So Northland Mall was the mall that I
God,
fucked with
yes.
all the time.
Hell yeah.
When I was a kid.
That place was
Yeah.
a ghost town eventually.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like
It
most
is now.
malls, like it's so weird to think about that. Like you don't see a lot of, like I went to the mall the other day and there were teens hanging out and I was like, this feels weird.
Yeah.
Like, but it was on Martin Luther King Day
So everybody's
and
out of school,
they were all
yeah.
out of school. And I'm like, okay, so teens still just go hang out at the mall when they have nothing else to do.
I legit
guess.
don't. I cannot tell you the last time I went to a mall.
Wow.
I really can't. I don't know the last time I went to a mall.
Yeah.
Thinking about it.
I think my favorite store when I was in 7th grade was, I believe it was called Rave.
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
Rave,
I
yes.
remember Rave. Yeah.
I was a huge fan
Yeah.
of Rave.
So describe Rave for us. Give us the aura.
Yes.
Rave was your slightly skanky
Okay.
homecoming dress
Okay.
store.
It's a little too short.
That tells us a lot about who you were, I feel
At
like. I think
7th
that's a
grade,
vibe.
yes.
Like,
It wasn't nice. I wanted to be Abercrombie or Hollister, but
Mm-hmm. Couldn't afford it.
I was Rave.
Yeah, I also couldn't afford it. Yeah.
I wanted to be Banana Republic.
Oh,
And
see,
Esprit.
there you
I
go.
wanted to be
Spree.
that person.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was
Banana
not.
Republic feels so like I walked by a Banana Republic when I was at the mall the other day, and now it feels very like Mom's Pearls.
It feels very much like I'm going to call the cops on you for
Yes,
enjoying
it's
a barbecue.
Like, it's like a Karen situation,
Yeah.
or like we're gonna be on a boat. Like it's a lot of like beiges, but I don't think it always was that.
I think it's always had a little beige tone to
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I remember having a lot of like pieces that were like, even like when I was younger, that were like made of bamboo, like
Yeah.
actual like bamboo like material.
weave.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we all know. I mean, I lived in Hot Topic. Like that was
Yeah.
yeah,
my home base.
you've definitely got to
Man.
put that on.
Yeah.
that was
That would have
my
been me
home
too.
base. It's still around. Like Hot Topic is
It's
still around.
very different.
It's different.
The vibe is changed.
It's a little more Spencer's Gifts now, isn't it?
Not
No,
really. Like
it's
it's
like,
almost more mainstream. Like the lighting is still Hot Topic-y. Like it's dark in there. Because I went
but it's
like,
not as goth or
no,
emo
not
at
as
all.
alternative as it was.
No.
Like they
Yeah.
have a lot of band shirts. Like
That's what I always went for.
Whenever I was growing up, it was like lots of band shirts, but specifically for like alt or emo bands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I feel like you could probably go there and get like a "Hit Me Baby One More Time" Britney Spears shirt.
Well, nostalgia stuff now too. Yeah.
But I don't think that was the case whenever I was
The things
a
that
kid.
I got at Hot Topic were like, I remember had this clear belt with spikes on it. It was like,
Oh yeah,
clear
you could
white
spiky belt.
Didn't we always? Yeah, we all had spiky
patches.
patches.
my chain wallet I got there.
Yeah, anything
Any
fishnet,
piercings?
any fishnet
Yep.
situation. Yeah, piercings that glowed in the dark.
yeah.
Manic panic.
Yeah.
Manic Panic
Yeah.
they sold there.
God,
Yeah. That, I mean, it was rubber bracelets. So many rubber bracelets.
Usually black.
Yeah, I had black and blue ones. Yep. Mhm.
Wow.
Good times.
Right, Cassie, 7th grade
yeah,
favorite
I mean,
store.
You took Topic from me. I'm gonna go with Deb. Oh
Yes.
no. I'm gonna go 579.
Yes,
579 because I remember specifically They were the only store I could ever go to I could find pants because I was like the stupidest, really scrawniest, like little kid, and like it was the only place that I didn't have to get size 16 kids. Nice. I could get like a 00 for real.
Yeah,
579 I feel like is one of those stores that like could not exist these days because it's like we don't carry clothes over a size 9.
Yeah,
where you're like
honestly,
okay,
we have 5s. We have 7s and we have 9s.
And smaller. And that's it.
And enjoy feeling bad about yourself. So, yeah. Oh my God. 579 makes me feel, it's got a real mean girl vibe.
It does now. Yeah.
It does. And
I
but
love
you
it.
said 7th grade.
No, we love
it. I'm not judging it. I definitely went into a 579 whenever I was in middle school. It was, when I was in school, it was a lot of like neons.
Yeah.
Like it was like neon pink, neon green, like lots of neon yellow, like colored clothing. Whenever I was in 7th grade,
579 had a lot of the shirts that tied.
Yes.
Oh my God. The way I totally had a fuzzy pink shirt that
one
tied
that's like a butterfly.
Right, like right under your boobs. Yeah. And then they definitely carried a lot of those like satin dresses that was like pink and zebra print.
Yes.
And you were like,
Yep.
Yep. God, that was an energy. Like when you rolled up to homecoming in like a pink zebra print
It's where
dress.
Cher shopped at
in Clueless.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
It had that vibe.
Yeah.
Like the skirts are just a little too short. Everything's just a touch too small.
Sweet Jesus.
Everything's kind of like a baby doll really should be wearing it.
Yeah.
But you're like, you wash it and it's like as big as your like
and
hand,
everybody who worked
but
there,
it's stretched to the size of your body.
Yeah. Everybody who worked there had an attitude.
Oh yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
I know what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Go for it.
I'm going to marry Hot Topic.
I mean, I think it's a good
love
call.
an aging emo / goth.
Of these three, I feel like
the
it's
only
the
one
best.
you can talk to.
Yeah. Like the other two are going to be kind of mean to you.
Right?
Low key.
Yeah.
You're not even going to know until you're like 20 minutes later. You're like, wait a second.
Did they just insult me?
That's so fucking
That's not a compliment.
That's so fucking rude. That looks good for you. What do you mean for me?
Not on you. That looks good for you. Yeah. Oh, it's amazing that you can pull off that color. What?
2 minutes late. What? Where'd she go?
And then I think I'm going to fuck Rave.
Yeah, obviously we're going to fuck Rave.
It's going to be dirty.
Yeah. You're going to wake up somewhere not clean.
There is bong water on that floor.
Yes?
Yes. There's no pillowcase on the pillow. But it's
so fucking good.
There's crushed up Molly residue on the nightstand. Definitely. It's one of those situations. I'm going to do exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And
same.
look, there's part of me that's like,
there's a used
Hot
condom on the
Topic.
bathroom floor. You're like, oh no.
Hot Topic had my whole heart growing up.
Oh yeah.
It is hard to see a little bit from my little emo soul to see how it's changed.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm a little concerned about that going into a long-term relationship with Hot Topic, but
it is also kind of concerning is that Hot Topic has gotten older, but it's still trying to appeal to the same age.
Yeah.
I'm like, is this a all right situation?
Yeah. I feel like they did not know how to grow with the times.
See, 579 knew they were done and they just wrapped it up. They shut down the shop.
I do like it when
closed
people
it.
know.
They're like, you know what? This is not relevant anymore. We're not.
I do appreciate that when they know when to go home.
Yeah.
They're like, we know when to fold them. Yeah, exactly.
We got the memo. The vibes are changed.
Yeah. Oh, this is not the vibe.
You know what? And good for you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. But there's still enough love there for a Hot Topic that I feel like I can still do it.
We can change him.
Yeah. I mean, and also like there's a lot of variety there now. Probably more variety than when I was
grown.
a kid.
And there's memories too.
Yeah. We've got memories.
You've got a shared past.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to marry them. I'm also going. Actually, okay. Here. Let me just say.
All right.
Fucking Rave is exactly what it sounds like. And it's exactly what you said. It's going to be good. You're going to wake up in the morning and be like, what the fuck?
You're not even going to be waking up in the morning. Rave is the type that it's like, it's an all-nighter. It's like you're getting out of the club and it is daytime.
You leave and you go directly to the clinic to get an STI.
Yes.
Yeah.
579, mean girl energy, Regina George energy. However, for just a fuck, I'm almost like, I never did that. I never.
But aren't they
felt
just going to sit there and you're just going to do all the work?
Oh, maybe.
I mean, they can't even bring an effort to bring anything better than a 9 to the table.
But did you
they're
ever?
Not gonna,
did
they're
you
not
ever
gonna do
have
anything
that?
for you.
You're right. You're absolutely right. But did you ever have that fantasy of like secretly the popular person is like in love with you?
Yes.
And like they're mean to you because they're like
They have to.
Yeah.
They have to be because
No,
their
it
friends
was
don't
definitely one of the practice conversations in my life.
what if 579 is like actually in love with you? You know what I mean? And like they're like,
Oh my God,
I've waited
triggered.
I've waited enemies to lovers. I've waited all my life.
Do I like that trope because I was unpopular at school? And I'm
Yes.
like, oh, everybody
that
was
we-
mean to me because they're secretly jealous and in love
They
with
secretly
me.
love me so much.
The funny part of this is that I think no matter how popular you were in school, you probably went through a phase of like, nobody likes me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I think even people who are quote unquote popular in your mind probably also were like, oh, nobody likes me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Teenage hormones are fucked. We just talked about what your
worst.
brain does.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And I'm an adult.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
my God.
I mean,
Thank God.
I think I would feel too insecure with 579. So I'm gonna go with Rave too. But I like to harbor that fantasy.
Sure. I would like to think that there's an unrequited passion that they have for me that I'll just never know about. And
Yeah.
they're just going to have to carry to their graves.
Yeah.
Their 579 grave.
I wonder if you could even find the logos for this company.
Oh my God. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to marry. Yeah. Hot Topic.
Yeah.
It's a no brainer for me. I've always been into the alt guy anyway. I mean, we're going to have so much more to talk about. There's so much more. He's super into music, all kinds of music, not just like, not just alt music now too.
Hit me baby one more time.
Yeah, he's like spread his wings and he's like, you know what? I can embrace shit that's poppy. I don't have to live in a box of what
Also,
society tells me.
More open-minded.
Yeah.
Like Hot Topic always carried like, LGBTQIA
That's right.
gear and
And-
stuff. So that's
Yes,
cool.
That's who I want in my life.
Yeah.
For sure. I want the chain wallet. I want all of it.
I'll allow
Oh
it. Yeah.
my God, there's a Pinterest board that has like all of them.
Oh my
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm also going to fuck Rave. And
Childhood memories. Oh my God. 579.
Hell
Bitch.
yes.
Ah!
Just even looking at
Mannequins
that,
are like so skinny.
looking at that logo is giving me like
Yeah, that's a flashback.
Wow. Deb. Girls.
Yeah.
Deb felt like the future. Look at that logo.
Deb had balloons a lot, I remember.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
But usually you could get around them. Anyway, I'm going to fuck Rave because I think that they're going to have like a pleather couch. They're going to have like that blow up furniture
Yeah.
that you really can't sit on.
Yeah. And it makes
Yeah.
anytime. What if you tried to fuck on that? It would be so squeaky.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think would like that.
How the fuck did we forget
Wet Seal? Listen,
I
Wet
shopped
Seal-
at Wet Seal.
Yeah. Wet
Oh my
Seal was
God.
like the younger sister of like
Ooh.
Deb, I feel like.
Do you guys remember the buckle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I
Oh my
shopped at the
God.
buckle
Jeans.
too. Jesus.
But yeah,
Nice.
I think that Rave is we're gonna have a fun night. It's
Yeah.
gonna go
Yeah.
all night. We're definitely on something.
Yes.
Or a few things.
Yeah.
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 But it's gonna be
There's gonna be a lava
But
lamp.
I feel like Rave's gonna be more giving than the 579 is.
Yeah.
Oh, 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rave's gonna go down on you.
Yeah.
579 is not.
No.
No. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Woo. Wow. That was a trip down
Memory
memory
lane.
lane.
Yeah.
I'm looking at these pictures just gagged right now.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Wet Seal is a real memory.
Yeah.
I feel like I can
is.
smell that sore as soon as you said it.
Yeah. Smells like plastic a
scent
little bit.
memory.
Yeah.
Plastic and-
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, you guys want to take 5 and we'll come back with stories?
Yeah. And we're back. All right, Cass.
All right. Years ago, I met a girl at a bar. We hit it off, exchanged numbers, and I called her a few days later. As a date, she invited me to a party at her dad's house the next Saturday. Said they were having a band and all kinds of stuff.
Ooh. Okay.
It's at your dad's house, though. Have they been dating?
I don't know. It sounds like a party big enough to have a band,
Okay.
right? I think you're probably like, okay, there's going to be a ton of people there. That's
Yeah.
a big party.
If there's a band, I would assume it's like a big
this
party.
isn't
It's
like
not
you're
just
coming
like,
over to dinner.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, like
This
this
is a little bit
thing.
more cash.
It's an event, right?
Yeah.
A little more cash. I show up to this quote, air quote, party.
Uh-oh.
And it doesn't seem to be much going on except for a few cars. She answers the door and immediately I can tell she's trashed. She takes me down into the basement where the band is playing the quote band is just her dad playing some shitty guitar.
No.
They had a few friends over, and that was the whole party.
I did
4
not
people.
come over here to watch your dad play Freebird. Stop it. No.
I'm as free as a bird now. It's like, oh my
Hold
God.
that thought.
There's some Doritos over there.
Oh no.
Some Ruffles.
My wonderful date kept disappearing into the bathroom to do coke with her friend, which I wanted no part of. Her dad kept talking about some guy that was coming to the party named Pee Wee Johnson who wanted me to meet.
Why?
Whatever.
You just met me. Why would you think I want to meet your friend
Hey,
Pee Wee?
you got to meet my friend Pee Wee Johnson, man.
Do I?
Let me tell you.
I mean, I'm intrigued. I'm not going to lie.
Listen, my friend Pee Wee Johnson's going to be over later. And you've got to meet him.
All right.
I mean, his name's Pee Wee Johnson.
I don't. You actually, look, I hear the word Pee Wee Johnson and my fight or flight kicks off. I'm like, I'm gonna get trapped in a conversation with a guy named Pee Wee Johnson.
Yeah.
I don't want this. I'm gonna leave.
I found a beer and was already planning my exit from this disaster when her dad runs upstairs to go get the door. He says, Pee Wee is here. Next thing, her dad comes downstairs totally naked.
No.
Except for wearing some type of breast appendage with 3 big tits and another one below with a huge nut and small dick. Pee Wee Johnson.
What the fuck is happening?
I did not expect that.
So his dad dressed up.
Her dad was like, I'll be right back. I got to get the door. He's like, Pee Wee Johnson's here. Comes back. Totally
Wait, I'm sorry.
naked.
I need you to rephrase. What is he wearing?
He's totally naked except for wearing some type of breast appendage with 3 big tits and another one below with huge nuts and a small dick.
What?
So just I'm assuming
Where
plastic.
do you even get this?
Like a rubber-
Is this a Spencer's gift thing?
That is a Spencer.
What would you do if you went
Guys,
over?
it's Pee Wee Johnson's here. Hey.
What would you do if that was your dad? If your dad did that?
You cope with cocaine and you obviously you expect this
You
from
go
your
to the
dad.
bathroom with your friend and do coke.
I guarantee you this isn't the first time this has happened to this
Pee Wee
girl.
Johnson's been there before.
She knows who her dad is.
Pee Wee Johnson has been to this party before.
Maybe this is her strategy. She invites them over
She's
right
She's
away.
like, I
and she's
never
like,
have to ghost. My dad takes care of that for me.
Or maybe she's like, look, they're gonna have to meet my dad eventually, so I'm just gonna have them come over first, and if they can't handle it, then I know that this relationship's not gonna work out.
Yeah, if you can't fuck with Pee Wee Johnson.
I am violated. If I come over and you do that to me, I didn't ask
No,
for
thank
this.
you. No,
My
thank
guy.
you.
Dude,
her dad
this-
gets on stage, still naked, and starts singing again to the 3 people in the room. I decide
What's the song choice? Oh my God. In my practice
so
conversation, I'm
uncomfortable.
like, what song do you sing if you were dressed up as
Pee Wee
Pee Wee
Johnson.
Johnson?
I think Freebird is the song. Freebird. Be a simple kind of man. Oh man.
Oh my God. You don't think it's Fergalicious?
Oh, it could be with his guitar.
What if it's like some alt rock song? You know what I mean? Like something
Look
completely
at this
unexpected.
photograph.
With arms wide open.
Oh no!
Man. Hey, say what you will about Pee Wee Johnson, but
Listen.
motherfucker's got some pipes.
Yeah,
but
you're
this
like,
motherfucker
well,
can
actually,
sing.
he's
Shit.
pretty talented.
I decide I've really got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I notice that my date is gone. I go upstairs to find her puking. I help her into a nearby bed and throw a trash can nearby. I stay with her for a little while, make sure she doesn't choke or something. She was in really bad shape. And about this time, a 12-year-old girl shows up out of nowhere.
What?
Her younger sister.
No.
I wound up talking to this kid. Turns out she does martial arts.
Oh.
At the same time, I was a heavyweight martial arts champs. So we compared notes and actually knew some of the same people. I had more in common with this 12-year-old than my stupid
You know what?
coked out
Like,
puking date.
This is one of those 12-year-olds in like a 90s rom-com who's like way smarter than they should be.
Yeah,
right.
Who has like
because
this,
they have only juveniles around
right,
them as
super
adults.
dysfunctional
my
family.
God,
So
totally.
like they're just like super mature.
Oh man. I soon got up to leave and pointed towards my now passed out date and said, who is still out of her mind, told the kid, be smart, don't wind up like this, and walked out.
Jesus Christ.
What a mess.
Wow.
Wow.
That is Yeah, that's a worst date story right there.
I
Can
can't
you
even imagine.
No. Hey, you guys. Wait. Pee Wee Johnson's on his way. 4 people are there. You're just like,
not. What? Also, the 4 people who are there, get your life right. Why are you here? What are you doing?
I mean, and also I think back, like Eric was so nervous to meet my parents and meet my dad, and just thinking like, what if that had been the situation? You know what I mean? Like you're so nervous. You're like, ugh, like.
And then your dad's Pee Wee Johnson.
Yeah.
No.
Thank God.
Sir.
Wow.
Listen, the way that I'm like, oh, sure. In my mind, the guy showing up to this party, I'm thinking exactly the way I told you. I'm like, it's a party.
Yeah.
You're being invited to your dad's party. There's going to be a band there. This is obviously going to be a ton of people. It's going to be not a big deal.
Your date is obligated to tell you if the band is
your dad. And at some point, your dad will be naked.
Yeah.
The band is going to be naked
Don't
later.
spring that shit on me. Also, it's very weird to me that my date's dad is like, I can't wait for you to meet Pee-wee later. Like, I'm like,
Johnson.
that's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Why
like it.
why do you keep
What's your
telling
name?
your daughter's date that like you want him to see you naked, basically?
Yeah.
What?
Wait, so who are you again?
Who are you again? Okay. I've got this date. First bad date. I lived in a small Texas town. I literally know every single one of the men here. And so I went to the internet to try to meet somebody that I didn't know. I finally met a guy that lived in the same town as me, and I actually didn't know him. So I thought, why not? He's got a nice picture. I agreed to meet up. I was about 23 at the time. I asked my friend to come with me to the meet because safety first.
Yep.
And yes, he knew and was okay with my friend coming along. So,
Perfect.
problem 1. The man in the photo was not the man that met up.
Of course not. Nope.
In the photo was a big built man with curly black hair. The man was a very large man with straight brown hair. Problem 2. I'm 23 years old and he was 45.
No.
Oh, no. No.
And I'm guessing that wasn't on his profile?
No.
Yeah, do not get me wrong. Some older men is fine. My current husband is 20 years my elder, but 23. But at 23, this was not what I was looking for.
Well, and just be upfront about it, right?
Right.
Because it's like if we have great chemistry and like we've kicked it off and like hit it off and like you've been really honest from the beginning, then that's different than like
it's
you
a
tricking
different
me.
picture, different age.
Yeah, that's
the
not
whole
the
9 yards.
same.
Problem 3. He took me and my friend to a cemetery way out in the woods.
No.
What the fuck?
No.
What the fuck?
He was new to town. Me and my friend were raised out in the woods, but this was still
he was
creepy.
Nude, and I was like, no.
Not another one.
No, but here's problem number 4. He wore a cape.
Of the thing. That wasn't the thing I thought you were going to say.
Look, freaks are out at night. We got some shit going on here. Like,
Can I tell you? So I wrote down, for listeners, while we're doing our episode, I'll tend to jot little notes down as maybe ideas to title the episode. This one, I wrote a little note saying, how many fucks do you give? So far in your story, Pee Wee Johnson, we'll say he did not, no fucks.
Negative fucks.
This guy.
A cape. A cape.
He really, see,
I can't tell if he's got the fucks to give or if he's just, I'm like, is he overthinking it or underthinking it? Where we at?
He didn't know. He stood in front of his closet wondering,
like,
do I wear the cape?
Cape or no
yes,
cape?
cape, no cape. Like,
took a selfie with it, took a one without. Just like, I don't know.
When in doubt, phone a friend.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
seriously,
always
phone
no
a
cape.
friend.
So just
you
why
gotta
do you-
have somebody to tell you, don't wear a cape.
A child's birthday magician? Like, why do you own a cape?
What are you doing, sir?
Oh my God, I don't even now. I don't have
never
a cape. Yeah,
never.
I'm not joking. The man was wearing a cape. It made me think of the comic book man from The Simpsons.
That's so specific.
And
Now I
that's all I see.
I too am
that's all.
thinking that. Yeah.
So me and my friend are already kind of wigged out, but whatever.
In a cemetery with a man in a cave.
Sir.
Who looks like the comic book man from The Simpsons. Okay. We get out of the car. Oh, did I tell you that it's about 9 o'clock at night? So we're walking around, came up, put his arm around my waist and told me he could do whatever he wanted to do with us and no one would hear our screams.
Listen, motherfucker. You're new here. No, sir.
I hustled over to my friend, told her what was said, and we ran. Yes, ran to my uncle's house. Yes, my uncle lived right down the road.
Yeah.
Never saw him again, not even around town.
Wow.
So,
well, that makes me feel like this
fucking
is,
won.
Yeah, 911. Because this makes me feel like he came to that town just to be predatory. Because that is some freaky.
A
With
cape.
a cape.
Cape. In a cemetery.
No, I don't like
in a
that.
small Texas town.
Don't like that.
I feel like you're opening a show.
Honestly.
In a small
In a world.
Texas town.
Yeah.
A man walks in with cape.
Enter Cape Man. Yeah, exactly.
Stage
my
left.
God. Okay. I had just moved to the big city, Chicago, from my small hometown in Iowa. I feel like Iowa is one of those states that gets forgotten about a lot.
Who?
You know?
Iowa? Yeah.
Iowa.
Never heard of her.
Who is that? I was 23 and feeling both excited and terrified at the prospect of a brand new life. The first few weeks were a whirlwind, trying to get on my feet at my new job, get settled in my new apartment, etc. It wasn't really until about a month and a half in that the loneliness of my new life even hit me. I didn't know anyone. I'd met a few promising friendship leads at work, but had been so preoccupied with getting my life together that I had yet to water those seeds. I'd never really done dating apps before. Didn't seem like there was much of a point in my hometown. Everyone knew everyone, and there wasn't likely to be anything new. So I don't know.
You could have got a guy with a cane.
I mean, we have two opposing views on
Pee Wee Johnson or Cape Guy.
Cape Man.
They're out there.
Yeah. One night, I was sitting on my couch eating pizza out of the box and drinking my third glass of wine home alone.
Heaven.
When I thought,
Exactly.
I mean, you don't have to rub it in, okay?
Like,
wow.
my dream Friday night. Incredible.
Treat ya.
Pure luxury. When I thought, what the hell, let's give this a go, and downloaded Tinder. After creating a profile, it wasn't long before I had a handful of respectable looking matches. Again, brag.
Right? Wow.
Oh, dude, it happened. If you're a girl, it happens immediately. Like you're like match.
Ding, 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 ding.
I'm winning.
I know, honestly, but
Cash and prizes.
let's see what you've won. It's a 24-year-old Kevin.
Oh, man.
So,
Well, she did say respectable looking, so that's a brag, right? And I thought, wow, look at me. I'm a natural at this. There's nothing to it. Oh, no. I started chatting with a guy named Dan, and things seemed to be going well.
Oh, I bet it's a used model, Dan.
let's check the mileage on that.
He was good looking, interesting, smart. We didn't have all the same interests, and some of the things he talked about seemed a bit boring to me, but hey, you can't win them all, right? Relationships are about compromise. After about a day...
First one. Christina, cynical is you're bleeding it. You got a little cynical coming out. Cynicism right
She's
out there.
new to dating. It's like,
it's cute.
Compromises. Yeah. After about a day of texting, he asked if we could talk on the phone. As a typical millennial, phone conversations make me anxious, but again, I'm willing to make concessions, so I agreed. We chatted on the phone and played a game of 20 questions to get loosened up. Most of it was your average stuff. He asked me how many siblings I had, my favorite Spice Girl.
We couldn't have texted this because
Right. But, you know, Christina loves a phone
I do.
conversation.
I love to hear the tone of somebody's voice. I think that it says a lot about somebody.
I'm okay getting on the phone, but it would have to be, I actually would like to get on the phone if there was like real sparks. If it was just like, we need to take this thing to the next level.
I completely agree.
But not a casual phone hang.
I don't
want that.
I don't like talking on the phone in real life to people I already
even talk
know.
to my
Like,
husband when I travel.
Text me.
Text me.
For sure. But yeah, if your sparks are flying and stuff, before you make the move to like going outside of your house, get them on the phone or on a FaceTime first, because it'll tell you a lot about somebody, and maybe you'll be saving yourself.
You won't end up with Cape Guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are times that I'll do a call. Only if it's like to save like texting something really long or something that could be misconstrued. You're like, let me just tell you this real quick.
Right.
Like you called when you were driving, because you're like, I got a several hour drive, and like, let's
save
and
me.
I'm like, that's cool. Yeah. Like occasionally phone calls are fine. But in general, I'm like, especially if I don't know you and we don't have that kind of connection like that, like it will make me anxious, because then I'm like, I feel like I'm performing or something, which is so bizarre because, back in the day when you couldn't text, I used to talk to my friends on the phone all the time.
Yeah.
So it's just a weird thing. He asked me how many siblings I had, my favorite Spice Girl, and my shoe size. Things seemed to be going well, and he asked me on an official date for that weekend. I agreed. He offered to pick me up at my place, and I, being young, dumb, and desperate, agreed and gave him my address. I expected him to call when he was downstairs, but instead I get a knock at the door.
No.
Another deep millennial fear.
Yes.
True.
Yeah.
Like that phone, the way I will get
like,
so startled when someone knocks on my front door.
Yeah.
I answer it warily, and there he is, looking wholesome enough to take home to Mom. I let my guard down and let him inside, and then notice he has a box in his hand. At first, I think maybe it's chocolates or something, but it looks too big. He says, "This is for you," and hands me the box. Inside are a pair of expensive-looking, strappy, high
He asked the shoe
heels.
size. I fucking knew it.
He beams. I'm dumbstruck. Don't get me wrong, the shoes are gorgeous, but they're not something I would pick out for myself, and certainly not what I would expect for a first date gift.
He asked the shoe size. God, as soon as you said shoe size, I was like,
It's not a normal question that you would ask in 20 questions. Yeah. Thank you, I say. Still beaming, he says, "Go ahead, put them on. I figured we could go wear them to dinner. You could wear them to dinner tonight." Not knowing what else to do, I just said, "Okay," and put on these shoes, which fit perfectly, albeit uncomfortably. We left, me wobbling out the door, gripping his arm down the stairs to the restaurant, and the date goes smoothly. He seems polite and genuinely interested in me, even if he is a little boring.
poor sweet baby angel.
Anyway, it went well enough that after a couple glasses of wine, I extended the invite for him to join me in my apartment. He agrees, and we make our way back. When we get there, he asks if he can use my bathroom, and I direct him to it. And then I go to make us some drinks. While I'm making them, my phone dings, and I go to look at it. It's my date.
Nope.
Weird, but whatever. I open the message, and it's picture after picture of my feet in the shoes that my date must have been taking under the table at dinner.
Why
is he sending them?
I feel all the blood drain from my face. Then I see the little bubble that means he's typing. It comes and goes, and all the while he's still in the bathroom.
He accidentally texted those to you.
Eventually, I guess he gave up on whatever excuse he was trying to come up with. The pics were obviously not for me. I'm freaking out at this point. I don't know anything about this guy. Does he want to saw my feet off and sell them to whoever he was sending the pictures to? No. I grab a knife and hold it behind me just in case. Girl.
Wow.
I mean,
yeah.
smart though.
Yeah.
He's in your apartment. You're in the kitchen. You actually have time to think about that.
Right.
Eventually, he comes out of the bathroom and we make eye contact. Neither of us say anything, and I can see that his face is super red. He opens his mouth, and for a minute, I think he's going to say something, but instead he just turns and walks out my front door. He's like, "There's no saving this. I'm just going to go." I run and lock it, then block him. I deleted Tinder after that and focused on making friends instead. When I started dating again, I had a strict no first dates in my apartment rule.
Yeah.
I still have the shoes and will occasionally wear them if they go with my outfit. Hey, they were clearly expensive, and your girl is poor and likes nice things. Waste not, want not, and all that.
Yes.
There you go.
Taking pictures of your feet under the table and sending them to whom?
To who are you sending?
Yeah.
these?
Who is that supposed to be for?
How, like, talk
And
about
then
like,
he's like,
he actually sent that. He's like, unsend. He's like,
and the dots come up and they go away. And the dots come up
what
and
would
they
you
go
say?
away.
Like, you can't come up. There's nothing you can say.
He's like, "I'm so sorry.
No,
erase."
exactly.
And he's like,
But they look
so I wanted to send these to you because
I wanted you to see how sexy your feet look. No, that doesn't sound. It sounds creepy.
He's like, "You know what?
I'm just gonna cut my losses.
I'm just gonna leave right now.
The image of like him coming out of the bathroom and her coming out of the kitchen and just like making eye contact, and then him just being like,
never mind.
No.
I'll see myself out. Thank you very much. My job here is done. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Oh my gosh. Well, let's take 5 and then we'll come back with the Tainted Love.
Yeah. Sounds good. And we're back. And if I have a tainted love for you.
I'm excited.
Oh yeah. So you went old timey last week, and I also am. And to be fair, for anybody who's listening right now, we're recording the same day, so it was funny that I was like, "Oh wow, that's so funny." When we do this, sometimes
the vibes are just such. There's like something in the air. Yeah.
I had an old timey one that I almost did.
Zach.
And I still might do, only because the chick's name's Catherine Hayes.
Ooh. Oh,
and I think
I know that one.
Yeah, I think she's actually, because my Nana's married name is Hayes, and so there's a huge line of Hayes all the way up through my thing. So I'm like, I wonder if I'm related. So I have to go back in and see if I'm related to Catherine Hayes.
You should do your ancestry.com. See if you connect somewhere.
That's
I hope not. She was legitimately awful, but but also was interesting.
That's always fun. I always think, I heard that there's a Winfield in the NFL right now, and I'm like, I bet we're related.
Yeah,
there's probably not a lot of Winfields.
There's not.
Yeah.
There's not. So I'm like, I'm sure. And there's like a handful of white Winfields and a handful of black Winfields. And I'm like, and that's a black Winfield. And I'm like, I bet we're related. You know?
Somehow you're all related.
Honestly, we're probably all related. That's true.
Yeah. All right. So my story, I got a lot of information from Oklahoma Historical Society, an article written by Stephanie Schaefer, and a bunch of other articles that I forgot to write down in my notes, but are actually in our show notes.
Oh, so great. Yeah. And again, you can find those, just as a reminder, on our website. We list all of our sources. So if you're ever wondering where we got information, go to myrosedaypodcast.com and it'll all be there.
Yeah. You should see our doc for this. It's
just wild.
Literally like so many links. Anyway,
someday when we're famous, someone will appreciate the fact that we've noted all of the episodes, like everything is noted.
Yeah.
So
we keep copious notes.
Yeah.
So Jacob Lewis, Jake is what he went by, Hamon, was born on June 5th in 1873 in Granola, Kansas.
Granola, Kansas is a vibe.
Grenola.
Okay.
So
Granola. It gives me a real energy. I feel like Kansas is wheat heavy anyway. Yeah. So I'm just like, it feels very beige.
Granola sounds right.
Yeah.
By 1898, he had a law degree from the University of Kansas, and in the same year, he married Georgia Perkins. This is just standard Midwest growing up.
Yeah,
doing the thing, moving.
Jake's moving on up.
Yeah. He married Georgia Perkins, and they settled their family into Lawton, Oklahoma in 1901. This is where they eventually ended up having a couple kids, settling down. And he was very ambitious. Like, nobody can say that this man wasn't ambitious. He immediately starts his career in law. He gets right into business. He is doing his thing. He is quickly voted in as the city attorney and later becomes the mayor of the town, but was ousted from his office in 1903 for extorting money from local gamblers. So he's ambitious in many ways, and some of those ways are criminal.
His birthday?
Let's see. What was it? June 5th.
Some ambition. Is it Cancer?
Is that Cancer?
No,
it's Gemini.
Gemini. Oh, yeah. That's
so he's ambitious, but he's also a little shady.
A little shady, yeah.
A little shady.
Duplicitous.
Yeah, very duplicitous.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's something you're going to see continuing on. Like he's ambition heavy, but he's also not able to stop himself from getting himself into the dumbest situations, like extorting people. And you're just like, dude.
You didn't have to do that.
You didn't have to do
that.
You
were already going to be successful.
You're doing fine.
You're the
great.
mayor. But you know what? I feel like wasn't every mayor in 1910 doing some shady shit? I feel like they were all.
I mean, this is 1903.
Oh, 1903. Okay.
I found it, but it feels right. It's Oklahoma. It feels like it's probably
but
a little
even
less.
Still, like, I haven't really met in person, but sometimes you'll hear a podcast or something with one of those like entrepreneurs or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, wow, like you are doing too much.
You don't have to do all that.
You don't have to.
This is a lot.
It's
simmer down.
Yeah. You would still have been like amazing.
Yeah, but I feel like some people are just programmed like that. They're like, it's never enough. It's never
you gotta
enough.
do the extra.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's enough.
But he's
Yeah.
But law, mayor's office, not enough for him. He's like, these local gamblers want to take their money too.
Right.
But he has his sights set on politics, and by 1909 found himself lobbying in DC. So Mr. Moving on up over here.
Okay.
In 1910, he was accused though. So again, moving on up, doing all the things.
doing the shady
seems
shit.
like he'll fit right in with the group.
Well, that's what I was going to
politicians.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm like, if you want to do shady shit,
This is the right spot for you.
politics
Yeah.
in Washington, D.C. seems like the right move.
It really
Yeah,
does.
like-
None of this sounds, the nefarious things that he does, you're like, yeah, none of that tracks.
Yeah, you're a politician. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got it.
no,
Like-
and it was like scandalous back in the day. Like as much as we think today, we're like, holy shit, like George Santos or whatever. It's just like there are examples like that, especially like
There's a few. in here.
stuff that happened like during Prohibition and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And just like how many
Yeah, I saw Legends of the Fall. I know. I know what happens.
we all had to. We all
That from my memory. That's so funny you said that, because when I was talking about the time period in Oklahoma, I was like, oh, how Legends of the Fall
Yeah,
is this?
it's very.
Woof. All right. 1910, so he's in 1909, he's in DC, he's lobbying, doing all this stuff. By 1910, he's accused of trying to bribe a U.S. Senator, Thomas Gore, to support some land contracts that attorney J.M. McMurray had made with the Chickasaw and Choctaw nations.
Ooh, hate that.
There's like $3 million on the line here with this whole contract to make it go through. So they... purportedly, he had offered Gore $25,000 for a favorable vote. 1910.
How much money?
$25,000.
How much money is that in 1910?
That's a
money?
lot
That's
of money.
$250 million.
That's so much
That's
money.
so much fucking money,
like-
right?
Yeah.
So, but that very same year, a lot's going on for Jake.
Yeah.
Jake feels like a very
Jakey,
much more
busy.
not modern name to the
Right.
than 1903,
Yeah, right?
but 1910. But yeah, so Jake, that very same year, he's 37 years old. He meets a local Lawton girl. She's a dry foods clerk. Now I've read
happened to Georgie?
3 or different, huh?
What happened to Georgie?
No,
Georgia.
they're still married. They got 2 kids. Don't worry about her.
Is she back in Oklahoma while he's being a power player?
Yeah, well, this is where he meets Clara too, 18-year-old Clara, who's working at the Lawton local general store in the
He's
dry goods
37?
section. Yeah.
Nice.
So I saw a few things. So it's not 100% clear of their age difference. And I was trying to the really cool thing about being in school is that I have access to like newspapers, basically newspapers.com.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
The New York Times and
I
all
love
this
that.
shit. And of course, JSTOR. So I'm like, fuck, the way that I got so much research, it was amazing. But I saw like a few different reports. One says he was 40 and that she was 20. One says in Wikipedia said it was like 40 and 16. I couldn't find anything that match
that
that one.
up.
Yeah, Wikipedia had a lot of false information. So just
Yeah.
FYI, if you head to the Wikipedia page, there was I found a lot of actual articles from the time period. So I feel like those are probably more true
Yeah.
to what was
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
Anyway, the two soon became engaged in a relationship, and he actually is like so smitten with Miss Clara Smith that he sends her to business school because he's like,
I'm gonna get you on my campaign, girl.
he's
keep
like,
you
I'm going
close
to get
me.
you. Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
keep you close to me.
Uh-huh.
Let's work together. So he also sends her to finishing school because not only does he want her to be smart enough to work with him
Mm-hmm.
as his personal secretary, but she also needs to be articulate and a
Yeah,
lady.
he's
and
my
she's-
fair ladying her.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
The rain in Spain falls
Mainly
on the plain.
So
Dusty White and Ray against Dusty White.
I love that movie.
but Clara had quite the brain for this kind of stuff. So she took to like the business side of this like very quickly.
Secure the bag, girl.
Yeah, and she was like really into it, and so she actually made quite a good secretary, but more so almost became like his like right hand, almost like a partner to him in many ways, like and helping him in business decisions and making good business choices and et cetera, et cetera. But beyond that, she was very much his mistress. And kind of became a little restless of this, secretary / mistress role. But Georgia wasn't budged. She's not interested in getting divorced. Georgia's like, honey, no.
Georgia is living her best life because she's like, I don't have to live with him. I'm living across the country for him.
I got Jake money without the Jake.
Yeah, and probably she's probably got her own side piece. She's having a great fucking time. She's like, you think I'm gonna roll over and give up all this shit? No, not today.
No. She's like, I'm sorry, I'm just not interested in a divorce.
Yeah.
And Jake's like, all shoulders, I guess. So he calls.
Georgia said no. Sorry, Clara.
Sorry, Clara. But Jake calls on his nephew Frank to come marry Miss Smith because for the sum of $10,000, he's like, "Hey Frank, I'm gonna go ahead and want you to marry my mistress so that she can have our last name.
Scandalous.
Have our last name. I'm gonna give you $10,000, and you're gonna go ahead and go get out of here."
Wow.
Yeah. So they get married, and he promptly leaves to go to California with his newfound cash.
Hold the fucking phone.
Okay.
He gave $25,000 to those gangsters, but he only gave his cousin $10,000 to marry his.
Well, no, he was trying to bribe
the
senator with
25.
Yeah, which he didn't take, by the way.
Okay. Well, how
and I don't think
admirable.
Frank knew the senator and didn't know that story.
Because I'm like, I feel like
it's all very similar timing too.
Yeah, you should pay me if you're willing to pay that amount for that thing.
But that's for a vote bribe.
But I'm marrying your mistress.
I mean, he doesn't have to stay with her or do anything. His end is like moving to California with the like
10 G's.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
In 1910 money or 1912 money, whatever, So the newly married Mrs. Harmon could now comfortably travel with Mr. Harmon with no questions. Because then that was the whole reason, right? So
they have the same last name.
He's in politics. He needs to not raise any suspicions, right? So he can now travel with his business partner with the exact same last name, and nobody is the wiser.
How much do you think
There's no
today's politicians, how much do you think the George Santos of the world are like so envious of like old timey politicians? Because you could just be like you could just fucking do whatever. And people were like, I don't know, news travels really slowly, and all we have are these sketches in this newspaper. So like it's probably fine,
Yeah.
By 1912, the lovers had moved to Ardmore, which is another town in Oklahoma, into a luxurious, adorning rooms at the Randall Hotel, where he and circus owner John Ringling had come together to build the Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Pacific Railroad, named at the time kind of just amongst people as the Ringling Railroad. In 1913, to provide transportation from the farmers to the ranchers between Ardmore and Lawton. So once they began construction in 1913 at Ardmore, they were progressing westward. Oil was actually discovered on their way, right, in Heldon Field. So by August, that's around August of 1913. And seeing this opportunity to make big fucking oil money.
Yeah.
Ringling and Hamon decide to divert the railroad towards...
Fuck this railroad.
Yeah, right. Well, they divert it to now go to Heldon, which is like 10 miles northeast of the town site, right? So they're amassing a fucking fortune now, right? So this guy is like, now he's got fuck all money. He's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Do what I fucking want money.
No.
Yeah.
You need to have some fucks, Jake.
Yeah.
Some.
We say,
a few. Just keep a couple, 1.5 fucks.
I feel like no fucks is going to land you in some issues, Jake.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Jake got 0 fucks. He's real close to that negative fuck zone.
No.
So his fucks are so off that he creates a a town called Jake Hamon. All one word. Jake Hamon.
I feel,
where do you live, Jake Hamon?
We see this, I feel like now, like a lot of celebrities suffer from this, where they just like their ego gets to such a point where they're like, this is great. This is the best idea I've ever had. You're like, is that Jake?
So during this like big oil boom, he's like, I know what I'm going to do here. Jake Hamon, Texas.
Is that still there?
No. It's a short-lived town. Like it literally, like he's like, this is my town, and nobody moved there.
Like not even calling it Hamon, right? Like Hamon, Texas would like kind of make sense, but like Jake Hamon, Jake Hamon, Texas.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work. It doesn't flow off the tongue.
Roll off the tongue. Yeah.
No. So he's investing. This guy, again, it's the oil boom. It's now 1990. He's in 1919.
Oh, wow. I was like, 1990?
Time flies.
Motherfucker's old as fuck. He's 120 years old.
Like, that's the year I was born. He's still kicking it? Amazing.
1919. He's investing more in railroads, do it with his oil speculating money. And in 1920, he's living the high life, right? He's now like, I want to go in politics again. I'm ready to do the politics game again. And so he's elected Oklahoma's Republican National Committee. He's like the representative, just like this man. The power, the wealth, the influence. He is just, all of this has led him to cross paths with a one Warren G. Harding.
Oh.
And
Warren G.
Warren G. Everybody knows about Warren G.
He's gonna regulate.
Yeah, he is. Mount up. He meets Warren G. and he does. And in return for him to get a bunch of votes, so he's using all this wealth and power and whatever to like help buy votes for Mr. Warren G. so that he can get the Republican nomination. And in return for that, Warren G. has promised him a seat in his cabinet. He's like, no problems. You spend your $1 million to help me. He literally spends like nearly $1 million to buy votes.
In old-timey money.
In old-timey money. Yeah, that's a real lot of money. And again, the goal for him is like, he's like, great, I'm going to get to be the Secretary of Interior. And that means that he can capitalize on a scandal that became really well known during Mr. Warren G's presidency, which was the Teapot Dome scandal, which is, there is a place called Teapot Dome, Wyoming, which was also a big oil refinery, or not refinery, but like an oil place.
Well,
exactly. That land that was owned by the government that they then ended up like renting out to people and like making a lot of money off of. It was a big scandal at the time. There's a book about it that was written by Leighton McCartney.
Wow.
That apparently is pretty good. I read a little bit of it just to get some notes. Harding was insistent though that if he's going to move to DC, sir, I run a respectable presidents here.
Okay.
And if you're going to be part of this cabinet, you're going to have to leave Clara behind, and you're going to have to just bring your actual family with you to DC.
So like 8 years later, it finally caught up. Like word got around, word
like,
traveled.
Everybody knows Clara's not your real wife.
Now we know. Okay, we're not fooled.
We finally got that picture.
Not fooled by the same last name.
Georgia's just
yeah, just filing her nails. Like she's sitting there with her crochet hook, like, oh yeah, you don't say. So we have to go to DC now, huh? Yeah. So upon his assistance, he apparently in early November is like, Clara, honey, just in 3 weeks, we're over. I want to give you the heads up.
It's a pre-breakup?
Yeah.
Like,
I just want to let you know, but you have like 3 weeks.
I still want to do stuff with you for the next 3 weeks, but just so you know.
Just so you know, I'm giving you notice. So like, just saying, per our contract, this is your notice.
I'm going to go ahead and we're not going to renew.
Wow.
We're not going to renew this contract.
Look, we've given it careful consideration and we've decided not to renew.
Yeah, we have different OKRs that we want to hit.
Yeah. And what I'm looking at here is the KPI.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
It's just not
measuring.
We're not.
What would you do if someone pre-broke up with you?
Honestly,
I would
it's that
finish
relationship
it.
thing.
I would.
Yeah, we're done then. We don't need to. It's that relationship thing where she's like, well, we're just at different places in our lives right now. And I'm like, if my friend broke up with me like that thing you sent us.
Oh my God.
I can't believe we didn't talk about that on my...
That TikTok, I would literally, speaking of like anxiety.
Just ghost me, fam. I'm going to go on record. Because Christina sent us... This is a little diversion. But Christina sent us this TikTok that was like a therapist who was like showing you how to break up with a friend.
She's like, I no longer want to invest in this friendship or whatever. And I was like, I would fucking die if someone straight face said that to me.
I would Just shoot me.
Honestly, I mean, and the thing, like, because the language was so condescending.
I would rather you ghost. Honestly.
I mean, and I know that there is no good way.
First of all, the way she was talking was like she was talking to a fucking kindergartner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, well, actually, like
it's like if an HR person sounds like they're talking to a kindergartner. That's like when they do that, where they're being like really fucking condescending. And I know that there's no good way to end a friendship.
But that ain't it for sure.
But that is not it.
That's not it. And what if he's talking to Clara like that?
So Claire, honey, sweetie, darling, nugget. I can only assume. Darling,
Momsy.
about 3 weeks. I hate that. Sonny. I'm going to go ahead and we got like a 3-week notice and then we're donezo Washington.
Yeah. So get your shit. Okay. Tie up all your loose ends.
Well, November 21st rolls around, and after a night of heavy drinking, and partying, she and Jake start to fighting. And
because she's like, "Oh, you were serious? Like you actually want me out in the morning?"
And Jake was shot.
Oh,
Jake got shot. Hamon insisted on walking to the hospital, where 5 days later he would die with his wife Georgia by his side.
He walked to the hospital?
According to testimony from Clara, Jake had attacked her in a fit of seemingly jealous rage. She said he choked her, dragged her off the bed, started kicking her in the back, went to get a knife that he normally carries around with him, but it wasn't on him. So he went to go grab it from this small table. She's 100% threatened, and he's like threatening. Basically, he's like, I'm going to slit your throat. So huge fight. She's like, grabs her purse and has a small gun in it, and basically leverages the gun to so she can get out of the room. She's like, I just wanted to get out of the room. Nothing. She's like, I just, trying to ease my way out of the room, just holding him at gunpoint so that I can get away from him.
Yeah.
But they're fighting, and he goes to raise a chair and throw it at her. And she says the chair hit her in the hand, and then the gun went off and it shot him in the chest. And she said that he looked at her and she's like, you got me, darling. And she's like, you have to get a doctor. And he's like, I insist on walking to the hospital. And she's like, okay, but
okay, bye. She stayed home. She's
Yeah.
like, see you later.
She's like, and apparently she was like, he said that I should also get the fuck out of Dodge and head to Mexico. That's what he told me. And so she said that so that she could avoid the scandal, right? Because the last thing they need is for him to end up in Washington, D.C. with this scandal, right? So, but
I mean, I think there's already going to be a little bit of a scandal.
It feels like there probably is going to be a scandal.
You're
here.
in the hospital.
Yeah. Well, he walked. He didn't
Shot. Didn't call a cab or
anybody.
anything. Yeah.
She makes it to El Paso, though, where her mom actually corroborates the story. She's like, she indeed did show up with bruises and said that, quote, the skin around was almost twisted off of her right wrist. The other person who kind of corroborates the story is Jake's business manager, Frank Ketch, who had said not only did he hear that he said she'd get to Mexico, Jake also told him to give her $5,000 of money. Like, give her $5,000 to get out of here, basically. And so, there's, of course, the story that he's told the doctors and whatever is that he's been shot, and he had told the hospital that she literally took his hand with her hand and then shot him in the chest as he was laying down. I feel like that could be corroborated. Like, is there a bullet hole in the bed? Because if he's laying down, I don't know. But this is old time.
This is all
crimes.
very weird.
Yeah,
Like,
the stories.
this is a strange.
It makes me feel like neither of these stories are correct.
Right. Yeah. Like the truth is somewhere
in between these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that being said, in March, she does return to Oklahoma to face the charges. And at the trial, she told the jury her side of the story. And then on March 17th, just 39 minutes of deliberation. This is that's how quick shit happened.
39 minutes.
Well, and also too, the crime happened in November, and by March they're getting to jury deliberations, and it's, this is wrapping up fast. I mean, they're going quick.
Well, I remember when I did the Eli Weeks, which was the first murder trial in America. Remember, the history was that they would do trial and deliberation same day. Like it was one day. Like trial would be like a day, and then like they would go to deliberations, and it was like took 2 days.
Figure
max.
it out.
So like so slowly, I think trials started getting like longer. And longer.
Yeah. At any rate, 39 minutes later after deliberation, they came back with a not guilty verdict, to which the family openly celebrated in the courtroom. They were like, yay, she's not guilty. I mean,
whose family?
Her family.
Her family.
Her
Okay.
family.
I was like,
literally,
George is like, huzzah.
Two of like the articles, one was like an old New York Times article, and they were like, he jumped up and hugged her, and it was like the way they go into like such a detail, because it's literally like, it's like, what, you know how we watched the trial of like OJ Simpson, like people are so invested in these trials, and they're reading it like it's a novella, basically. So it was really interesting to like go through all these old articles. At any rate, the drama does not end there. March 19th, literally 2 days after she gets the not guilty verdict, Clara is holding a press conference to let the world know that she has plans to move to Hollywood, where she will begin filming a movie about her life and the trial. She wanted it to be a, quote, warning to young girls. And William Ernst Weathers, an oil man from Fort Worth, was named as the film's producer and her manager. So Mr. Oil Money paying for this Mr.
Like,
Oil
I'll
Money
fund
death.
your project.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, funny enough, she was about it. She's like, I'm going to be famous, and moves to LA. But the pictures were not interested. The picture interests of California, as well as the Photo Playwrights League of America, had passed similar resolutions condemning the exploitation of vice and crime. So they were like, we're not going to make you famous for fucking being a criminal.
Yeah, I mean, this was probably right before like the Hays Code and all that stuff went into effect. Probably, yeah. So
Another
like,
Hays.
Another Hays. I know. I just thought that. I was like, I wonder if you're related to that guy. What a stick
No,
in
he
the
doesn't.
mud.
He doesn't have the E at the end.
Okay,
I'm an E at the end. Hays.
Okay. Yeah.
Also, the filmmakers, so like the major industries at the time were just like, you can't do this. And a lot of the filmmakers also followed suit, many people boycotting the production at all. Articles were written in protest, like a piece called Frightfulness said, quote, an incredibly indecent form of mental cruelty is about to be inflicted upon the real Mrs. Jake Hamon and her children if Clara Smith Hamon is permitted to go through with a film production of her sordid life story.
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing is disgustingly indecent, superlatively brutal, and any precious moral the picture is expected to portray can have no possible weight against the deliberate, cold-blooded torture of the living victims.
Wow.
They
That's
were coming
hardcore.
hot
Yes.
for her. Nevertheless, though, Hollywood be Hollywood.
Yeah.
And you're going to be finding some people. Everybody wants to be making something, right? So nevertheless, they were able to pull together a ragtag team of people to make the film. They hired John Ince, I-N-C-E, Inc., I don't know, to play Hamon. Clara would play herself, and then they found John Gorman, a relative unknown, to write and direct. Fate was the name of the film, and it began filming in June, was completed by August. LA refused to premiere it. They're like, not in my fucking town, you ain't.
Amazing.
San
LA
Francisco.
is like, you have too many morals for this, LA? Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, was
That
this
says a
right
lot.
around the time of the Arbuckle
1920.
stuff?
So probably right before.
Oh,
I
okay,
think.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is like 1920, 1921.
Yeah, I think it was before the Arbuckle
but not
stuff.
by
But that
too long.
really shut
Yeah.
down anything
Yeah.
racy in Hollywood
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah. That's a good one.
They also were hoping to have it then in San Francisco, but San Francisco banned it. And while it did end up showing at some small art house college theaters, it was pretty much pulled everywhere and just lost to time. Clara goes on to marry her director, Gorman, and they eventually do divorce in 1925. And her Hollywood career ended as promptly as it had begun. And no one really knows whatever happened to Clara, because after her divorce from Gorman, there's no real track of
Wow.
her. Yeah. So she just kind of disappears into the ether.
Because you could do that back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
could.
It's
Up
not
and
something
left.
that you can really do now.
It's like turned out she just moved to Encino.
Yeah, exactly.
Had a rent
yeah.
controlled
Left.
apartment.
Yeah. She's still here. Oh no. She's so old.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
Oh,
a good one. I didn't know that one.
yeah, me
Never heard
either.
it.
Interesting, right?
It is interesting. Golly.
Yeah. Well, what are you guys watching this week?
Well, I'm about 3 years too late, but I started watching Chernobyl.
Oh.
Oh, what do you think?
It's great.
Have you
seen
that's
it?
what
Did you
I've
watch it?
heard. No,
I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, I will say, like, it took me a second to get used to because there's this thing that we love to do, which is like, it takes place obviously in Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah.
And all the characters are British. Like they all have British accents, which is fine. But it always just kind of throws me a little bit because I'm just like, but the acting, unbelievable.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Skarsgård's in it. But yeah, the acting is the guy who plays kind of like the main guy who was also in Mad Men. He's so good. He's so good.
Nice.
In it. And I mean, it'll really fire you. It's not a feel good watch.
You're like, I don't like it after.
It'll really
myself.
fire you up in terms of like the lengths that like various governments will go to like conceal something that's as terrible as this. I will say I didn't fully grasp the scale of like how bad it was. And I'll tell you this one thing though, I am not the person to be put in a position to make decisions in a crisis like this.
Wow.
I'm watching these people and look, again, I think like a lot of the stuff that the government did and a lot of people in power did like jeopardized so many lives and it's so fucked up. But I will say that like, I don't want to have to make the call on like a lot of the shit that like these people were having to make calls on. I can't, I would not be the one. I'd be like, what do you think? I'm like panicking. I
don't want it to be on me.
No. Yeah. Cause it's truly like, I mean, they were talking like this could, if we don't do something like it could wipe out the entire continent. Like they were like, it's that bad. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't want to be put, that's like Armageddon level, like decision making. Like,
no, it's too much.
Yeah. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure, but it's
you still
great.
Can't go there.
No, it's still radioactive. Yeah. But yeah, it's very good if you're looking for that kind of vibe of a show. The film, the cinematography, fantastic.
Yeah, right. I've heard it was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
Something not phenomenal. Something I did not enjoy. I watched Pale Blue Eye.
You didn't like it? It's on my list. Oh, that's a bummer.
I was very disappointed. The dude that plays Edgar Allan Poe looks exactly like him, but has a very thick Southern accent.
Ooh. And he's from Baltimore, isn't he? Edgar Allan Poe?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know if maybe
it
at
might
the
have been the South at the time, right?
But it's like a very Southern drawl. It's very slow. It's a very slow. I've heard the book is amazing. And a lot of people I think that read the book didn't really care for the movie. I personally, I thought it was slow. It's not the worst thing I've seen, but it's very predictable.
That one looked right up my alley, and I love a slow burn. And it looks good, but
a fucking thing with Edgar Allan Poe, and it's
Christian
like a murder
Bale
mystery.
and Gillian Anderson.
Yeah.
How'd you fuck this up?
How'd you fuck it up?
Well,
fuck
if you
it up.
watch it, you would see. You'd
I actually
like,
don't want to watch it now.
I did want to watch it, but now I'm like,
I did, and I also watched The Menu.
I watched The Menu too. I liked it a lot.
I didn't care for the ending.
The ending was. I'm sure,
but I liked it.
I'm sure there's some.
Nicholas Hoult continued to eat long after
incredible.
like other people had given up. Was really funny.
I thought The Menu was really good. I agree with the ending. I think that maybe there's something deep that I'm missing. Like maybe there's some
maybe I just need to rewatch it. But I was like, okay.
But I did really enjoy the movie. Like
the
dark humor of it is
so good.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a commentary, right?
Yes.
The whole thing
it's
is
like
just
satire. Yeah.
I am sorry, I have nothing else to bring to the table other than my homework.
No,
because this week has been bonkers. So I have, and I'm leaving to go out of town in like 2 days. So I have like 1,000 things of homework. But I can tell you all about my really cool art history class that I'm taking. It's about myths and legends.
Oh,
so that's cool.
Nice.
That is fun.
Yeah, it's Greek mythology in art. Yeah, so that's actually really cool. I'm also taking an anthropology class about lost tribes and civilization. So
cool.
Nice.
Actually, that's
so
very
it
exciting.
is actually very interesting.
Yeah.
It's just that it's not. It's not a broad spectrum thing for people that'd be interested.
Well, if you guys have a class that we should take, or at least make Cassie take, something to watch, a really terrible date, go to our one-stop shop of a website. It's myworstdatepodcast.com. And we love you so much. Cheers.
This is a Glass Box Media Podcast.